Welcome to the cockpit, everyone. So, have you ever wondered what it really takes to fly an aircraft completely solo? Well, today in this explainer, we're diving into a totally vital concept in aviation training. It's called Single Pilot Resource Management, or SRM for short. I am so glad you're here to explore this with me, because if you're an aspiring pilot, you already know that flying safely takes way more than just physical stick-and-rudder skills. Today, we're going to master the mental art of flying safely as a solo pilot in command. Let's get right into it. Here's a quick look at our flight plan for today. First, mastering single pilot flight. Second, aeronautical decision making. Third, risk management essentials. Fourth, awareness and task management. And finally, automation and final thoughts. All right, Section 1, Mastering a Single Pilot Flight. This is the absolute foundation of SRM. So here is a serious question for you. Are you truly ready to command a flight entirely on your own? Think about it. When you're the only pilot in that aircraft, you aren't just the captain. You're literally the entire crew. You're the dispatcher, you're the navigator, the whole shebang. This unique challenge demands some serious mental organization. You don't have a co-pilot sitting right next to you to bounce ideas off of or, cross-check your instruments. It is all entirely on you. So how in the world do we handle that kind of pressure? Well, the answer is SRM. Single Pilot Resource Management is basically the art and science of managing all your available resources. And we're talking both onboard and from outside sources, all to make sure you have a successful, safe flight. It's all about how you gather information, analyze it, and make solid, safe decisions. And hey, remember, you might be flying solo, but you aren't alone. Your resources heavily include outside help, like air traffic control and flight service stations. Okay, so how do we actually put SRM into practice? We use something called the 5P check. You evaluate these 5 Ps at key decision points during your flight. First up is the plan. That's your mission, your weather, your route, and your fuel. Second is the plane. What's its mechanical status? Are the databases current? Third is the pilot. That's you. You evaluate your own physical and mental state using the IMSAF checklist. Basically, you're checking for illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, and emotion. Fourth is passengers. This is huge. Do not let their desire to, say, make an important meeting rush your safety loop. And fifth is programming. You've got to manage your advanced avionics so they don't accidentally hijack your attention. Moving on to Section 2, Aeronautical Decision Making. This is really the cognitive engine of flying. Before we look at the actual decision-making models, we have to talk about the mental traps. These are the 5 hazardous attitudes that can seriously mess with your decision-making in the air. First, anti-authority. That's the classic, don't tell me what to do mindset. Then impulsivity, doing something, anything immediately without thinking it through. Invulnerability is that dangerous belief that accidents only happen to other people, no way it happens to me. Macho is taking wild risks just to prove yourself. And finally, resignation, thinking what's the use, nothing I do matters. Honestly, just recognizing these creeping into your mind is the crucial first step to correcting them. Right, so once you've cleared your mind of those attitudes, you need a solid framework. The DECIDE model is a super logical 6-step loop for this. First, detect a change. Maybe you notice dropping oil pressure. Next, estimate the need to react. Is this urgent? Then, choose a desirable outcome, like finding a safe alternate airport. Step 4, identify the control actions you need to take. Step 5, do it, make the physical input. And finally, evaluate the effect. Did it work? It's a continuous loop that keeps you actively, safely engaged in flying the plane. Now, if 6 steps feel like a bit too much to juggle in a really high workload situation, aviation also uses the 3P model. It's a much simpler alternative. Perceive the given set of circumstances. Process their impact on flight safety. So, evaluating the real risk. And perform by implementing the absolute best course of action to eliminate or mitigate those hazards. Perceive, process, perform. Super easy to remember. For truly fast-paced, interlaced decision-making, we use the OTA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. You observe your surroundings, you orient your attention onto a specific discrepancy, you decide on the effect you want, and you act by making a physical input. This loop is awesome because it provides immediate feedback, allowing you to react really fluidly in dynamic split-second situations. So what does all this theory actually look like in a pilot's brain? Well, there are basically 2 different pathways here. First, we have analytical decision-making. This is where you're carefully evaluating the pilot, the aircraft, the environment, mapping out multiple solutions, and thoughtfully choosing the best one. But then, there's automatic or naturalistic decision-making. This is where your deep training kicks in, allowing you to quickly detect a risk and just immediately take successful action without overthinking it. Good SRM is all about knowing exactly when to use which pathway. Let's slide into Section 3, Risk Management Essentials. This is all about mitigating flight risks before they become emergencies. At its core, risk management is about systematically identifying hazards and figuring out the best course of action. This risk assessment matrix is a totally crucial tool for that. You basically evaluate two things. First, the likelihood of an event, like is it probable, occasional, remote, or improbable? And second, its severity. Is it going to be catastrophic, critical, marginal, or negligible? By combining those two factors, you can objectively classify a risk as high, serious, medium, or low. And that helps you definitively decide if the flight is truly safe to undertake. To make absolutely sure we don't miss anything prior to taking off, we rely on the paved checklist. P is for pilot, asking yourself honestly, am I truly ready for this? A is for aircraft, what mechanical limits will impose today? V is for environment. This means carefully checking the weather, the terrain, and the airspace. And E is for external pressures. Are you pushing yourself to fly into bad weather just because you're trying to keep a strict schedule? Let's ground this whole PAVE concept with some real-world examples from our sources. Take pilot limitations, for example. Imagine a pilot who gets asked by their boss to fly 750 miles after getting maybe 4 hours of sleep, and the weather is pretty marginal. In our source material, the pilot assessed their fitness and rightly decided the risks were completely unacceptable, totally standing their ground despite the boss's pressure. Good call. Now look at the environment side. There was a case where a pilot landed a small plane right after a heavy jet. They completely ignored the wake turbulence just because the surface winds seemed fine. The result? A remarkably hard landing. Assessing your environment accurately is literally absolutely critical. Section 4, Awareness and Task Management. Let's talk about in-flight execution. Effective task management is exactly what prevents massive workload spikes at the most critical times, like during takeoff or landing. You absolutely must prioritize your tasks, but always remember the golden rule of aviation. Above all else, fly the aircraft. Minimize your distractions, get tasks done in a timely manner, and always rely on your checklists so you don't accidentally increase your workload right when you can least afford it. Now, managing your tasks well directly feeds into your situational awareness. That's your accurate perception of all the factors affecting your safety. And you know what the absolute biggest obstacle to this is? Fixation. Staring intensely at one single incorrect gauge while completely ignoring the big picture around you. It's like trying to fly while looking through a tiny straw. That kind of fixation can turn a minor, fixable glitch into a total disaster. You've got to keep your visual scan moving. A truly devastating consequence of losing your situational awareness is CFIT. That stands for Controlled Flight into Terrain. Maintaining CFIT awareness is literally a survival skill. It requires constantly and accurately assessing the risks associated with the terrain and obstacles around you, maintaining constant geographical tracking, and using appropriate techniques and all your available resources to ensure you never, ever inadvertently fly a perfectly good, functioning aircraft right into the ground. And our final stop, Section 5, Automation and Final Thoughts. Time to talk about managing our digital tools. Modern planes come loaded with some incredibly amazing technology, like super advanced autopilots. But here's the major catch with automation management. Sometimes pilots stop actually flying the plane and start doing like IT support at 5,000 feet. You absolutely must actively manage these automated systems. If you spend way too much time with your head down in the cockpit, desperately trying to program a super complex GPS route, that supposedly helpful digital co-pilot suddenly transforms into a highly dangerous distraction. So, what does this all mean? We've covered the mental models, the checklists, the risk assessments, and the task management strategies. Single pilot resource management is an incredibly comprehensive discipline. It's all about being proactive, staying deeply aware, and making structured, exceptionally safe decisions. You now officially have the mental toolbox of a solo captain. So the only question left is, are you ready to apply these skills and confidently manage the skies on your very next flight? Keep learning, stay safe up there, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.